Good afternoon. My name is Denise Carvalho. I am here as the initiator of the channel Conductor of Light with my friend and ex-husband Leif Bergström, journalist, Swedish correspondent, that will be asking questions regarding the connections that I'm trying to make in this channel between art history, philosophy, but also spirituality, ingenuity, originality, imagination, and even aspects that have to do with today's interest in awakening certain abilities that used to be very, utilized during the 1930s and a little bit earlier through the connections with surrealism. So the points that we are going to talk about are just very generic, but we will be addressing these issues for you guys to see how we are trying to see the connection between art and other possibilities that perhaps are needed in today's culture. So this is Leif Bergström, and let him go from here.
Denise, we have known each other since the mid 1980s, and along the part of that time you have been teaching art and art history. Long before that you were practicing art, creating art. So my first question is, what brought you to the art scene?
What brought me to the art scene is probably not even thinking about the art scene, because I started using the language of arts when I was very young. Actually, I was probably in my 8 or 9 years old, and I needed a form of expression that would allow me to focus. Maybe I was a little bit hyperactive and perhaps in need of finding something I could enjoy more, like thought and creativity and silence and thinking through things. And my family, thought that I should be just doing some artwork, some drawings, and they were very supportive on that. So I started doing that, and I realized that over the years that became almost like a form of mediunic expression, if you will. There were several situations that happened that made me see that it was a form of expression that would entail healing for me after some traumatic experiences that I went through, and that helped me to find some stability that was profoundly nurtured by creativity. So I continued doing that until I started to actually study in the university, and I went to do 1 year of journalism in Rio. And there I I stayed a few years there, but I didn't finish the journalism because I became very, very, very interested more and more in the arts. And that led me to end up leaving Brazil to New York. I went to New York via Canada, and I stayed in New York City. So my first years in New York City, I studied at the Art Students League with Rudolf Baranik, who was a critic an artist and had a class at the Art Students League. And I was one of the students, and obviously I was also doing many things at the Art Students League. I got a prize there as a painter at some point, but I never utilized that because I ended up going back to Rio and lost that opportunity. But once I met Leif during that time, I began to actually study at the School of Visual Arts as an artist, and I continued to study there, and I didn't stop in the arts because I needed to make money, so I saw that writing would be important also. I started writing as an art critic, and then later I ended up doing a master's in anthropology and studying art history and cultural studies at UC Davis with a PhD in cultural studies and 2 other masters. So the studying was only, let's say, a raison d'être, as we say in French. That means an other reason to actually continue finding a way to survive as an artist, if you will. So go on.
And you are saying that at the same time as you have studied how artists through the years have tried to expand their sources of imagination.
Yes.
You also often in your lectures mention the history of Leonardo.
Leonardo da Vinci, the story is Freud wrote about Leonardo da Vinci, so it is interesting to see why he emphasized Leonardo. And in the very early years of his life, he utilized creativity to kind of give himself a sense of structure, if you will. And that maybe is what I compare with maybe myself and many other people that use art to enhance their abilities of knowledge, to understand language in a different way than the normative forms of education that sometimes limit a person and condition a person to only think according to rules. And here we are to talk about the arts in ways that are not just about rules or following others, but instead creating your own abilities to think art, to imagine the world, to communicate your experiences to the world, and even the most traumatic ones, okay? So go ahead.
And you have also followed artists that have used, some would say, mystical kind of methods to expand their creativity. Tarot cards are one and several other methods of finding inspiration. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I was thinking about Gertrude Stein. I mentioned that before. She was very interested in writing, of course, but her writing and philosophical thinking were very much based on a deeper understanding of language. And as she started to notice that so many methods that were not the typical right side brain methods were much more able to provide possibilities for creativity and in unique ways of perceiving reality. And therefore, this is one of the main aspects that you see also being emphasized by the surrealists in 1930s, the late 1920s and 30s in France and elsewhere, and where concepts like the foreign body, which is étrange, what was the term again? corpse, yeah, corps étranger, which means strange corpse or strange bodies that were created as a form of almost play, you know, in a connection with play, with playfulness during parties or sometimes even through the mail, that various artists would share the making of a drawing or an artwork that would be done without each other seeing what the other made. So it was continuing a drawing that they did not have in mind. And that was quite similar to what Gertrude Stein was talking about as a left side awareness, as the ability to write without thinking logically. So, and I think that that's pretty much it in terms of how important that is to bring out imagination, creativity, and to redefine the way we think beauty, or even a sense of understanding language, visual language included, of course.
And your goal with this channel, Conductor of Light, is to be able to speak, as I understand it, about art, about creativity, about spirituality, and about even tarot and other methods of expanding your source of inspiration.
Yeah. I think tarot for me, I started when I was like 15, 16 years old. I loved writings that had to do with, you know, talking about situations that were a little more out of the norm, you know, even the connection with, I remember reading Siddhartha, that was about the life of the Buddha, right, in a way. And it was very, very interesting to me, the way it was written. So again, I wanted to dream. I think that my mind was a mind of a dreamer, and the dreaming was very important. So I see also at that time, I started to study numerology, and I was very interested in how these different forms of understanding language that are not logical, but have perhaps a need or a desire to find new forms of consciousness. I thought that they were fascinating and I wanted to learn them more and more. So that led to a time in which I started to study the tarot when I was kind of depressed, and I felt that that would make me feel more open to connect with some other understanding of myself that was mine alone, that allowed me to have a connection with what I call my soul. And I think that also led me to understand that there is a form of consciousness that goes beyond our logical, even creative or left side understanding of it, that is more, perhaps more imaginative, and even if you meditate, and I'm a person who meditates a lot, you would see that through the connection with your higher awareness of reality, which is not just the things that we see every day, but the things we feel, the things that come sometimes even as an inner language to us, that become almost like a form of dialogue with perhaps, and I'm not sure if this is real because I never really encounter a spirit, but with a connection with the spiritual world. I do have also very interesting connections with animals, with birds, and the very nature is to me. I feel that I connect without needing to make an effort. It's just natural, and I feel the reciprocity of some animals also in that level. So, but in that, I cannot say if this is not just the fact that animals have become more and more domesticated to a point that even the more wild ones, they relate to us in terms of communication, in some form of wonder and communication. So I'm just saying that all these things are part of creative thinking, and I am here to expand on that.
Thank you very much, Denise.
Thank you for the questions. They were great questions. Thank you.
Turn it up.
Okay. Is it this way?